My name is Michael Carter, and I have spent the last 36 years living in Denver, Colorado. I've always seen myself as an average person, someone who easily blends into the crowd. I'm married to a wonderful woman named Emily, and together we have 2 children, Ethan, who is 11, and Clara, who is 8. I work as a software engineer, a profession that is both rewarding and occasionally monotonous. Life felt straightforward, well-organized, and predictable, until everything changed on one rainy autumn afternoon. That day had been long and uneventful. As I left the office, the first rain of the season began to fall, painting the sky in shades of gray. I was driving home on Interstate 25, mentally going over the day's accomplishments and the tasks still ahead, when disaster struck. I remember the sudden screech of tires and the sound of a crash, but nothing after that. One moment, I was tightly gripping the steering wheel, rain streaking across the windshield, and the next, I was plunged into darkness. When I came to, I found myself in a place that felt entirely unfamiliar. There was no sky, no horizon, just an endless expanse of soft, golden light. The air seemed heavy, almost tangible, but it carried an unexplainable sense of peace. My heart was racing, yet I felt oddly calm, as if a weight had been lifted from me. I tried to speak, but no words came out. Instead, a voice echoed inside me, as though it were speaking directly to my mind. "You are here because you were meant to be." I instantly recognized where I was. It was the afterlife, though it was nothing like I had imagined. There was no fear, no judgment, only a deep sense of acceptance. I began walking, my footsteps silent against the glowing ground. In the distance, I could see shadowy figures, humanoid shapes, translucent and indistinct. Before long, I realized I was no longer alone. A figure emerged from the mist, radiating a warm and luminous presence. As she approached, her features became clear, dark, shoulder-length hair and kind, wise eyes that seemed to see straight into my soul. I immediately recognized her, Queen Elizabeth II. I stood frozen, stunned by her presence. Time itself seemed to pause. It was impossible to mistake her. This was the Queen, a woman whose reign had spanned decades and whose legacy had shaped history. I never imagined I would meet her, least of all here, in this mysterious, otherworldly realm. She smiled at me, her expression serene and calm, free of the weight of her earthly responsibilities. She appeared radiant, almost transcendent. "Michael," she said, her voice gentle yet powerful, resonating like music. "I've been waiting for you." "For me?" I managed to stammer, my voice trembling with confusion and awe. She nodded, her gaze unwavering. "You are here because your journey is far from over. Though your time on Earth isn't finished, your soul has crossed to this place for a reason. You have questions, and I am here to help you find the answers." My mind swirled with emotions. "Why me? Why now?" I asked, struggling to process what was happening. Her expression softened as she stepped closer. "You've been living a life of routine, Michael. You've fulfilled your duties as a husband, a father, and a professional, but in doing so, you lost touch with yourself. You stopped seeking deeper meaning and settled for comfort instead of fulfillment. Your soul longed for more." Her words pierced through me with startling accuracy. It was as if she had uncovered the innermost truths I had been ignoring for years. "But how could you know all this?" I asked in a whisper, still trying to comprehend the moment. Queen Elizabeth II smiled knowingly, her eyes sparkling with understanding. "I know because I, too, walked this path. I sought purpose, struggled with questions of meaning, and ultimately found peace. Now I'm here to guide you on your journey." She reached out, and though it wasn't a physical touch, I felt an indescribable connection pass between us. A wave of energy, rich with her wisdom and experiences. I could sense the trials she had endured, the joys and sorrows of her life, and the strength she had found through it all. In this ethereal realm, she was no longer bound by the burdens of her earthly existence. "Michael," she said, her voice calm and filled with compassion. "You are part of something far greater than yourself. Your presence here is no accident. Your soul has a purpose, one that you have yet to fully uncover." As she spoke, an overwhelming wave of warmth and love enveloped me. It wasn't like any kind of love I had ever known. This love transcended the boundaries of human experience, wrapping around me like an eternal embrace. It was unconditional, pure, and powerful. So much so that it made my heart ache, not with sadness, but with longing. This love felt like it could mend any wound, erase every doubt, and make the impossible seem within reach. "You must return," she continued, breaking the silence. "Your time in the world of the living is not yet over. But now, you have a choice. You can return to the life you've known, staying within the safety of what's familiar, or you can step into your true purpose. The decision is yours, Michael." I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. The enormity of everything I had witnessed, everything I had felt, rendered me silent. This woman, who had once been a symbol of strength and grace on earth, was offering me guidance more valuable than anything I could have ever imagined. "Remember this," she said softly, her voice filled with gentle authority. "You are never alone. Love surrounds you always, guiding you. And no matter what, you will always have the power to choose love in return." As her words lingered in the air, her luminous form began to fade into the golden mist, becoming one with the light that surrounded us. Her final words echoed in my mind as I felt myself being drawn back to the world I had left behind. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in a hospital bed. The rhythmic beeping of machines and the sharp scent of antiseptic brought me back to reality. I was alive, but I wasn't the same person. The memory of that golden place and her words remained vivid, etched deeply into my consciousness. In the days that followed, I found myself unable to forget what had happened. Her message played over and over in my mind, guiding my thoughts and actions in ways I didn't fully understand. I began making changes, small, deliberate changes. I spent more time with my family, tried to find greater meaning in my work, and focused on living in the moment. But I knew there was more to uncover. It wasn't just about making changes, it was about transforming how I lived. When I returned home, everything seemed both familiar and distant, as though I was seeing it all through new eyes. My house, my children, even Emily. It all felt different, as if softened by a veil of clarity and understanding. I tried to immerse myself in the routines of my old life, but something inside me had fundamentally shifted. I couldn't ignore the message I had received in that ethereal world. You are part of something much greater than yourself. A week later, unable to shake the feeling, I decided to take the day off work and went for a long walk in the foothills outside Denver. The crisp autumn breeze filled my lungs as I climbed higher, my thoughts spinning with questions and reflections. I thought of my family, the foundation of my life, but also of the deeper purpose I now felt compelled to find. Eventually, I stopped on a large rock, the view of the valley stretching before me. Exhausted, I closed my eyes and let the wind whip through my hair. As I cleared my mind, her voice returned, as clear and steady as it had been in that otherworldly space. "You must choose love." Her words rang through me with an undeniable resonance. I opened my eyes, gazing out over the landscape, and suddenly, it all made sense. Love. It was so simple, yet so profound. I realized that I had spent much of my life striving for goals, achievements, and the approval of others. But in the end, none of that truly mattered. What mattered was love, the energy that connected everything, the force that gave life its deepest meaning. I stayed there for hours, letting the truth of her words settle in my heart. By the time I made my way back home, I felt a clarity I hadn't known in years. From that day forward, I saw my family in a new light. My love for Emily, Ethan, and Clara became richer, more vibrant, more intentional. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a purpose. I began taking deliberate steps toward living with love at the center of everything I did. At work, I shifted my focus. Instead of chasing promotions or recognition, I prioritized helping others, mentoring younger engineers, supporting my colleagues, and offering my time without expecting anything in return. Outside of work, I started volunteering, giving my time to causes that resonated with the newfound understanding of love and connection that I carried in my heart. But it wasn't only in the big gestures. It was also in the quiet, everyday moments. Sitting down with Ethan to talk about his day, helping Clara with her homework, or simply listening to Emily share her thoughts without distraction. I was no longer merely existing. I was present, fully engaged in the life I was fortunate enough to have. As the weeks went by, the sense of purpose only grew stronger. One night, lying in bed beside Emily, I found myself reflecting on Queen Elizabeth's words, her message ringing clearer than ever. You must choose love. She had told me I had a choice to make, to continue on the path I had always walked, or to step into my true purpose. But what was my true purpose? Deep down, I already knew the answer, though I had been too afraid to face it. I wasn't meant to live a quiet, comfortable life, lost in routine and familiarity. I was meant to share what I had learned, to help others discover the same love and peace that had transformed me. The experience I had with Queen Elizabeth II had shown me a glimpse of a reality far greater than the one I had known. I couldn't keep it to myself. I decided to write. I began by journaling, capturing every detail of my experience, what I had seen, what I had felt, and the lessons she had imparted. I wrote about the afterlife, the golden space, and the profound importance of love. Soon, my writings grew into something more. They became speeches. I found myself standing in front of small groups at local community centers, sharing my story of survival and transformation. The more I spoke, the more I realized how much people needed to hear these messages. There was so much pain, so much uncertainty in the world, and I felt I could help others find the peace I had found. I never forgot Queen Elizabeth. Her words continued to guide me as I moved forward. Over time, I began studying her life in more depth. I watched documentaries, read biographies, and reflected on her legacy. The more I learned, the more I saw how her life was a reflection of her soul's journey. Her mission had been to bring healing and to spread love, even in the face of overwhelming challenges. She had given so much to the world, and now she had given me something I could never repay: the clarity to live a life of true purpose. In some inexplicable way, I felt as though I had become part of her mission, to spread the message of love and connection to those who needed it most. Every time I spoke to someone, every time I reached out to help another person, I felt her presence beside me. It wasn't just her spirit. It was the energy of love, transcending everything. That was her greatest gift to the world, love. And now, it was the gift I was meant to share.